The Toy Soldiers March. Billy loved toys. His room was filled with trucks, blocks, and action figures, but his favorite toys were the ones that moved on their own. Wind-up soldiers. He loved how they marched, stiff and determined, tapping their tiny drums. His grandpa had given him a box of old metal toy soldiers last Christmas, and Billy spent hours lining them up in perfect rows, winding them, and watching them go. This year, though, he wanted something special, something different. At the Christmas market one snowy evening, Billy tugged at his mom's coat. "Can we go in there?" he asked, pointing to a tiny shop hidden between two glowing stalls. The shop's window was foggy, its lettering faded. Mr. Hobbs's Antiques. Inside, the air smelled musty, like wet wood and old paper. Shelves overflowed with forgotten treasures, carved nutcrackers, porcelain dolls, and dusty clocks. "Don't touch anything," his mom said, but Billy was already wandering deeper into the shop. At the back, standing alone under a dim spotlight, was a single toy soldier. It was bigger than the ones he had at home, almost a foot tall, with faded red paint, silver buttons, and a black drum clutched in its hands. Its face was chipped, but its eyes, shiny, glassy, and too real, seemed to follow him. The soldier's carved mouth curved into a crooked smile, almost like it knew a secret. Billy squinted at the tag hanging around its neck. "One of a kind. Do not wind." "Do not wind?" Billy whispered. "What kind of toy can't be wound up?" The shopkeeper appeared beside him, an old man with crooked glasses and a long, scratchy scarf. "It's not a toy for play, lad," he said quietly. "It's a collector's piece. Leave it alone." But Billy's parents, amused by their son's curiosity, ignored the man's warning and bought the soldier for him. "It's a decoration," his dad said. "Put it on your shelf." That night, Billy sat on his bedroom floor, staring at the toy soldier perched on his desk. "Do not wind," he muttered, rolling the tiny silver key between his fingers. "That's just silly." He turned the key, giving it a single careful twist. The soldier's arms jerked up. The drumsticks tapped the drum in a slow, deliberate rhythm. Its legs shifted stiffly, and it took 3 tiny steps forward before freezing in place again. Billy laughed nervously. "That's not so scary." He placed the soldier on his bookshelf, where it stood perfectly still, its glass eyes fixed straight ahead. Billy climbed into bed, pulled the covers to his chin, and quickly fell asleep. Hours later, Billy woke with a start. The room was dark, but something felt wrong. The faint sound of drumming filled the room. Billy's chest tightened as he turned his head slowly toward the bookshelf. The soldier was gone. Billy sat up, his breath quick and shallow. The sound grew louder now. He looked toward the door and froze. The toy soldier stood at the foot of his bed, its drumsticks moving faster. Billy blinked hard. This isn't funny," he whispered, scooting back against the headboard. The soldier tilted its head, and the glass eyes seemed to glow faintly in the dark. It lifted its drumsticks higher. It took one slow step toward him, then another. Billy lunged for the light on his nightstand and flicked it on. The soldier was back on the bookshelf, motionless. Billy's heart thudded in his chest. "It's just a dream," he whispered. "It's just my imagination." But he didn't sleep the rest of the night. The next morning, Billy told his parents about the soldier. "It moved, I swear." His mom raised an eyebrow. "It's just a toy, Billy. You probably had a bad dream." But Billy noticed something strange. The The soldier had moved again. It was no longer on the bookshelf. It now stood on his desk, closer to his bed. Billy spent the day avoiding his room, but when night came, he had no choice but to go back. This time, he locked the soldier in his toy chest. He even stacked books on top of the lid for good measure. "Now you can't get out," Billy whispered, staring at the chest. That night, he woke again to the sound of drumming. Billy sat up, his hands trembling. The sound didn't come from the toy chest. It came from the closet. "No," Billy whispered. The drumbeat grew louder. The closet door creaked open, and the toy soldier stepped out, its drumsticks moving frantically now. Its glassy eyes locked on Billy, and its smile seemed wider. "March!" it hissed. Billy screamed and bolted for the door, but the soldier was faster. Its tiny boots pounded against the floor as it chased him. Billy tripped and fell, hitting the floor hard. He looked up to see the soldier looming over him, its shadow huge against the wall. "Stop!" Billy cried. The soldier raised its drumsticks one final time, and the last thing Billy heard was the sound of marching. The next morning, Billy's parents found his bed empty. The soldier stood perfectly still on the desk, its drumsticks crossed over its drum. Next to it lay a single note in Billy's handwriting: "I'm marching now." From then on, the sound of faint tapping could be heard in the house late at night, like tiny boots marching, always marching, looking for someone new to join. Subscribe to No Sleep Zone on YouTube and No Sleep Zone TikToks for more chilling tales.